I was cracking, you guys. Welcome to the Mango Grove. How's everyone doing?
Wow, so we jumped right into it, eh? There's no intro
Hey,
screen.
No, the intro just played. Did you see the intro as well?
I saw the intro, but usually we do the whole, stream starting soon and then the whole face reveal. And none of that. It just jumps right into it.
This is the this is the face reveal. No more wasting time. They don't want to see our faces. They want to see Bitcoin, Sean. Although
I
would
like doing the
rather
face
be
reveal.
looking at Sean. I was telling Sean that he looks like he just got out of the Archie comics. He's got that look to it. And it's also like kind of fitting.
It's Christmas, all right? It's time.
Yeah, exactly. Every time I think of Archie comics, I'm thinking Christmas for some weird reason, even though they're just not connected. But yeah, how's everyone doing? Let's get a quick audio check. So give me a thumbs up. Give us a thumbs up in the chat. Just hit the thumbs. How's it going, BetaBot? How's it going, Jeff? How's it going, Hen? Michael B is in here as well. Perfecto. Tanswan, how's it going? Good to see you in here always.
Ooh, we got Tanya.
Hello, Kenny,
too.
AG. Okay, so we got a good audio check. Okay, the audio is good. So tell me something. Panic at the Disco, yay or nay? Sean, Panic at the Disco? How do you feel right now, Sean?
Why would there's nothing to panic about? We are systematic trend traders and we follow the system end to end, no matter what. There's a plan for everything. We follow the plan. You know when you guys panic? When you don't have a plan, when you don't know what to do. We've been following a plan and we've been laying out what we need to do, what we should be doing for 2 to 3 years now. So I get it though. People might be uncertain as to, hey, does this count? Does this not count? What should we be doing in regards to this? What should we be doing in regards to that? We're going to get to all of those questions and you're going to feel a lot better in regards to everything. I promise you guys. By the end of the stream, you guys are going to be feeling fantastic because things are actually way better than people think. And yeah, lots of opportunity regardless of what people think.
Okay, so with that, I like this. I think it's a positive note to start off the stream with. I'm going to get onto the charts right away. The way we're going to be, let's go. Okay, there we go. Nice, just click. So first order of things, I for one, guys, I'm in the same shoes as many of you guys, okay? So I think we should all just be asking Sean questions today, okay? That's going to be the whole the base, the foundation of this live stream. We're going to be asking Sean difficult questions about this cycle and what can we expect? How low can Bitcoin actually go? Of course, we're going to be talking about Bitcoin first and then XRP, the star. The star XRP. Sean's like, I disagree. Bitcoin's always the star. But we're going to be talking about Bitcoin first, then XRP. And then if you guys have any questions, of course, get into the chat and we'll ask away. But also before we begin the live stream, a lot of you guys have reached out asking about the Black Friday sale. So we just only today, because of a popular request, we have actually activated a Black Friday sale. Okay, so the coupon code, I believe I have it on here. Where's my banners? There we go. BLACKMANGO is the coupon code. You can apply it on all the courses, all of the indicators. So yeah, go ahead and check it out. Sean, I believe last season, a lot of people really liked the BLACKMANGO sale because we gave them free dashboard access.
Oh, right. Yeah.
With their
So,
subscriptions.
yeah. So in case you did not include that, guys, take advantage of the Black Friday sale because no matter what one of our products you purchase, Mango Seed, Mango Dynamic, Mango Lifeline, you get access to the dashboard attached to it, right? So as long as you keep that subscription running, you will have access to the dashboard. And the dashboard has been getting massive. I mean, I don't need to tell you guys, you can see it, right? You have TradFi assets in there as well. You have the premium content in there as well. compared to how much Dashboard offered in the beginning of its journey to now. There's so much more added to it, but the price hasn't reached that. And more importantly, as we've been doing more and more TradFi content, most of it is going to be going into the premium section over there moving forward. We've been building a long-term portfolio on TradFi, and if you guys are interested in like portfolio management types of investments, let me know. I'm going to be doing more content in regard to that in the premium section. So again, based on your feedback, what kind of content you guys want. I can't do it on YouTube because the algorithm punishes us, right? It literally sends us messages telling us, don't do this kind of content. Your viewers are not liking it, blah, blah, blah. So until we actually get the algo to be friendly with us, we're going to be putting content in there instead. And that's the kind of content that I love doing, but the algo punishes me for. So yeah. Take advantage of this sale because of the
Sean called the entire cycle. Yeah. So Sean called the entire cycle on the Mango Dashboard Premium videos. So for those of you who have been watching those videos for some time now, you guys know his entire flow chart thingamajig. If you guys remember that, I definitely suggest it's always worth giving it another watch. But yeah, so Black Friday coupon code in the description below, as well as links to all of the indicators and courses. So now with that, Sean, we can get into Bitcoin, and let's talk about one of the most important cyclical closes that we are about to get tomorrow. I can't even say 12 hours anymore. more like 9 hours, right?
9 hours, yeah.
Because we're closing the bi-weekly, let me rephrase. We're opening a brand new bi-weekly candle tomorrow. This next day is going to be a brand new open on the bi-weekly time frame. Now, as many of you guys know, Sean, this has been something that you introduced to the entire community, the bi-weekly dynamic support. And much of our cyclical Bitcoin trade has been hinged off of the bi-weekly time frame, right?
I don't want to take credit for that. It was Julian from Mango who actually was the one to push it. I was watching it, yes, but he's like, guys, we need to watch this. This is really working. So credit goes to Julian. Again, you guys have been the reason for a lot of the money I've made on some of my biggest trades. So I thank you guys for the edge and the knowledge you guys give me as well. So Chainlink banned this Bitcoin trade as well. So Julian gets the credit.
Okay, well, cheers, Julian. The mastermind calls have been actually like pretty sick. We've had like a lot of amazing discussions in there, but more importantly, I like it when everyone comes together and we can all sort of put out thoughts in there, and you'll be surprised as to just how much alpha is out there. Like, I feel like we're all stronger together in terms of actually building a thesis, right? Building a thesis and finding things that work, finding systems that work. So this was one, the biweekly dynamic. Once again, cheers, Julian. Now, for those of you who do not have the access to the dynamic indicator, well, here is the bottom of that dynamic zone. Now, ideally, Sean, we would have liked to have seen price close over the biweekly dynamic, right? Coming in at $95,241. Now, this is where I want to ask you a question. And once again, guys, I'm asking Sean questions. If you guys have any questions for him, now's the time to sort of ask away. If tomorrow we close under the biweekly dynamic, which is looking like the likely case right now, should we exit immediately? Should we start scaling out? What is the plan here? Because this was one of the cyclical indicators, how would you be approaching this?
So this question a lot of people have. I don't like giving definitive answers to this question because it's objectively not safe for me to give you guys definitive answers. One, if I say exit immediately and price bounces, you guys are gonna be upset. And two, if I say no, I think price is gonna bounce and price doesn't bounce, it could lead to a lot of pain, right? And as a trader, you should not be looking at it that way, regardless. Okay, it's the answer that everyone dreads is it depends. Okay, but I'm going to go through various scenarios, right? Where it depends scenarios for you guys, so that way you guys have a lot of clarity. And if you guys have questions for your particular situation, ask me in the comments right now, and I will give you guys the best guidance I can based on what I would do. This is not financial advice because, again, I cannot know your entire situation. And this really depends on your entire life's situation, right? So we can start right there. If you are heavily exposed to Bitcoin and you are completely over allocated, then you are going to be under that stress that, oh my god, what do I do, and that's going to have you not thinking clearly. That's precisely when you need to make sure that you get into that mindset of being able to think clearly. Know this though, right right at the start, that if you are at your threshold where you have said that I'm willing to lose, let's say 20% underneath the Mango dynamic, 30% underneath the Mango dynamic. Now, considering it is a bi-weekly time frame, you should be giving yourself a low threshold with how low price can go underneath the Mango dynamic, and bounce, etc. You never know what could happen. But let's say you have a threshold. Know that price could very well not bounce and start going underneath your threshold. Okay, as soon as that happens, your risk starts amplifying. You should not just be holding your position as it starts going underneath that pain threshold that you have predetermined ahead of time. Okay, weeks ahead of time, months ahead of time, years ahead of time. Considering we've been straight for like 2 to 3 years now, you cannot let that loss get worse than it is. As soon as it hits that point, you need to start exiting. You need to, and you know what? Price could do the worst thing and start bouncing right when you start selling. It doesn't matter, because you got to first be thinking about risk as opposed to keeping your funds. Now, we are in a good situation at the moment where price is showing some strength on the lower time frames as we approach that bi-weekly close, right? So you can use that to your advantage. Kusha has it up on the chart right now. You can use that to your advantage as a buffer, right? So let's say your threshold. Kusha, what was the candle close low there at I think 80K on the 1 hour time frame, the lowest candle close there.
Right here,
Yeah.
the lowest the wick low,
No,
that came
use
in
the
at
close.
around 80. The
Use the
close. Okay,
close.
sorry, my bad.
Yeah. I'm just telling you guys how I
82,000.
would do it.
Okay, 82,840.
Okay, cool. So let's just go 82,500 to keep the numbers easy. You have 82,500 as your threshold, for example, and you're like, if price comes down under 82,500, I'm going to be losing more than I have allowed myself to lose. Okay, but we have now drifted away from 82,500 in a positive direction towards my invalidation level, which is around 95,000 on the Mango dynamic. Right? So at this point, things are very manageable. They're only $10,000 underneath the Mango dynamic. No big deal whatsoever. The closer price gets, if you guys see that lower time frame structure that is bullish, you got to ask yourself, if I was in a 1 hour trade, if I was in a 4 hour trade, would I be putting on positions here for a long move, right? Again, candlestick analysis, trend analysis, use everything to assess whether or not the likelihood of prices going up is actually high or not, right? And then you need to understand that even there, each time that you decide I'm staying in a little bit longer is you essentially putting on a trade. Okay, you got to trade it that way. So for example, if you are heavily exposed, right, and you're feeling that pain, right now we are testing the 4 hour dynamic, which has been getting respect, has been seeing respect, right? So you can take some off here, reduce that pain a tad bit. Yes, you might be thinking, but what if it keeps going? You are heavily exposed. You expose yourself way too much to the point where you did not account for these emotions. So now you got to pay that price, one form or the other. This is not a big price to pay, by the way. This is the price of business. You are giving up some profits. We've been in this rate since around 17 to 20K. It's completely fine. Let some of that stress out. So in case it does come down, you're not feeling that bad. And when it does threaten that $80,500 level, you've already sold a bit. It gives you some buffer. Then, could I turn on the 12 hour dynamic? You can now just forget about the sell that you just made. and think about the 12-hour dynamic. Okay, when it gets there, I'll maybe let some more go. Okay, now this is for those of you who are extremely exposed to the point where you can't handle if price goes down further. Okay, again, depends on everyone's situation, everyone's tolerance, everyone's volatility threshold in their chest, etc. For me, I'm like, okay, I'm just going to wait for the daily. I could wait for the 2-day. I could wait for the 3-day. I could wait for the 4-day. Based on everything in my in my life situation, I could have a completely different threshold than you. Based on the fact that I had altcoin profits that are buffering my ability to withstand Bitcoin pain. Okay, based on the fact that I've been doing extremely well this cycle, previous cycle, etc., where I'm like, okay, you know what? I have a lot of buffer. I can deal with this. Right? So many things matter. Okay, if you for example need to close, you have a closing on a house very soon, and you need these funds. You cannot risk not being able to close, right? You need these funds. You counted on having these funds. Your situation is completely different from everyone else in the chat, so you need to be you have less tolerance compared to everyone. All of these things matter. Okay, but you can take it level by level by level as we start going up towards price. Remember one thing though, we haven't closed the bi-weekly yet. So if you are acting right now, you are making that trade saying that I have a very, very, very sure I think the probability of us closing underneath the bi-weekly dynamic is very, very, very high. And I'm going to use this opportunity as we drift towards price to let go of my trade. That's completely fine. Because, Kusha, could you turn on the bi-weekly dynamic? Because we have made such a huge move down underneath the end bidding zone. Remember, the new Mango Dynamic version 5, right? The start bidding and end bidding zone exists to give you guys a perimeter on how deep underneath your level you can bid, right? It gives you rules. It's a rule set, right? So as soon as price start drifting underneath, I think that was 90,000, right? 91,000. As soon as price start going underneath there, 91. You're not allowed to buy. You're not allowed to say no. I think this is an opportunity. I'm gonna play for this to close over the dynamic. No, your rules are your rules. You're not allowed to buy anything there, right?
Yeah.
Now you can say, hey, holy shit, price has moved so far underneath that, right? The probability of it actually bouncing and closing above 90. Oh, this is one more thing I wanna talk to you guys about. Some of you might be using the end bidding zone as your invalidation, or rather, if Bitcoin closes above that, you're like, oh, that's fine. I think I'm fine to hold on to my position. That's not how this works. Okay, you cannot change your invalidation post entry. You have to stick to your original invalidation, guys, which is the bottom of the Mango dynamic. That zone over there was not meant to be used. Now, some of you may have got into your trade and said that, no, I'm not going to be using the bottom of the Mango dynamic. I'm going to be using the bottom of the end bidding zone as my invalidation. Now, if you did that, that's completely fine. Because if you did that, your position size, your risk tolerance, everything would have been adjusted according to that, right? Especially if you guys are in the Mango C program, using the Mango risk management indicator, Mango risk management sheet, etc. Everything will be adjusted according to that as your invalidation. But if you now change that goalpost, your risk parameters have completely changed, and now you're suddenly over positioned even more, right? Yeah. So make sure that you stick to your invalidation, guys. If we close above the end bidding zone, you're going to get tempted to stay in position, but that's not the Mango way. We aren't looking to be right here. We're looking to be consistent in following our system and feeling proud that we followed our system after like 5 years over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. We're not trying to be right. We're trying to be good traders, good investors, following our rules to the T. Okay. So even if you do get rewarded for that, it's not good behavior. Let's say we close over the end bidding zone and price bounces. You're going to be like, thank God I did that. You are setting yourself up for failure in the long run. This is now a test to see how well you can follow your system. Because, Kusha, zoom out. This cycle has been too goddamn easy for us. We've not been tested a single time. Not a single time have we been invalidated on our trend trade. And this is not normal, by the way. What Bitcoin did is not normal. This is not some magic, I will hold up price for you forever indicator. Indicators lose their levels and then you reclaim it, right? Because on a different tab, we could open up the SUI 2-day dynamic trade and we can show them how we got to play that trade twice, but we lost it once in between, as in SUI lost the indicator.
SUI USDT,
USDT
2-day
on the 2-day
dynamic,
time
right?
frame, right? So we took this trade 3 times, right? And 2 of them were really good trend trades, right? Zoom out more to the left. Yeah, so the one you can see them. You can see clear as day on the chart, right? It yeah, there,
This one
and
right
then
here,
another
and
huge
then
one,
this one
right?
right here.
So you
Even
can
these,
see
like,
how SUI lost it twice, right? Bitcoin has not lost the trend that we picked on it a single time. No, those weren't. Once it loses it like that, that doesn't count, Kasha. We'll talk about that too. So,
okay, yeah, we can talk about that later.
like, I know I trade it differently. So my point is, trends are lost, okay, and trends are regained, and a good trend trader gets back in, right, and puts on the same trade again. Now go back to Bitcoin. We have not been tested yet on having to exit and re-enter. In the previous cycles too, guys, it wasn't a clear trend to 50,000. If you could clear chart for Bitkusha, turn on the Ichimoku on the weekly, right? If you guys remember, the last cycle was really, really messy. And we were forced after COVID to get back into our trade, even though we flipped towards the downside. Can that happen this time around too? Yes, it can, but it doesn't matter. You're not trying to preempt the market V-bottoming and turning around and turning bullish. No, you got to stick to your rules and play to the downside. And then if the market actually reclaims levels, we will flip back again. Okay. Let me give you guys one great analogy. Okay. I hope you guys are all listening. Listen to this. This will make your trend trading life very, very, very simple to follow. It's not going to be easy, but it's going to be simple. Okay. Big difference. Look at trend trading, especially trend trading Bitcoin, as an erratic bus driver that is trying to get you to your destination. From Ottawa to Toronto, it's a 5-hour long drive, and you are sitting with a bus driver who's freaking erratic. Okay, that's how I envision this. How I've always envisioned this. This bus driver is going to get you to glory land eventually. Okay. If you trend trade, you are going to get to glory eventually, because assets trend, and they trend in a big way. We've seen Bitcoin do it multiple times. We've seen SUI do it. We've seen XRP do it, etc. Right? But he's an erratic bus driver. He could stop at any time, and decide to turn. Okay. And he's going to tell you, calm down, buddy. I'm going to get you there eventually. Just trust me. Okay. And you're going to give him some threshold in terms of like leeway, right? Maybe he just wants to go and pick up some freaking churros, or some bag of chips, right? You don't know. He's up to something, or Tim Hortons, right? And you're gonna give him some leeway. At one point, you're like, "Holy shit, man! What are you doing? You're going way off course, right?" He's like, "Trust me, everything's gonna be fine. I'm gonna get you there, right?" But you're not gonna put your family's life on the line, your family's money on the line, their roof on top of their head on the line, right? And the food on the plate on the line. Not going to do that because of this guy's random trust that he's asking you to have in him. So you're going to be like, no, you know what, man? I'm going to get off at this Tim Hortons here. Okay. And then when you come back, please pick me up. Okay. He's like, you sure, man? It's going to cost you, because I got to follow the rules. It's going to cost you a little bit more. And you're going to say, that's fine. But I can't risk where you're going. I don't know if you're going to come back or not. It's like, you sure? Because I'm going to take you to glory land. And you're going to say, yeah, I know you will, man. And I'm willing to pay a little bit extra on your way back here. You go where you got to go. Man. I'm going to be waiting here for you. Okay. That's what trend trading is like. There's an erratic bus driver. Okay. He's going to turn around. Or he may go in a straight line. If he goes in a straight line, those are rare bus drivers. Most of them are fucking assholes. Okay. Most of them are assholes, Crypto has just been extremely good to us. Okay, they're gonna turn around, they're gonna test you. They want to know who deserves to be on that bus.
Yeah.
Okay, and sometimes you got to get off and pay a little bit extra to get back on. That's fine. Okay, but you got to make sure you get off, man. You don't know where he's taking you. Could be a dark alleyway. His buddies are waiting. God knows what they're gonna do. Okay, this we're not trying to be right here, guys. We're just trying to be on the bus that's going the right direction.
I like these. These are fun analogies. I
I may
always
have
love
lost-
how Sean sort of goes into like
I may have
slippery
lost
slope with the
question.
story. Hey, Sonia's in here. How's it going?
Yeah. How's it going, Sonia? And guys, I have so many thoughts in my mind. I'm glad we're doing this live stream today instead of tomorrow, because people are going to be asking about the wrong questions. Remember, the biweekly dynamic was never our only level, right? We have the monthly 10 SMA too. So if you're really following your rules, then itself, you are not allowed to exit every single thing. People keep asking me, should we exit everything or should we exit a bit? Firstly, if you're asking this question and you're like feeling this kind of anxiety, it's because you're getting too tunnel vision on only your profits as opposed to thinking about the big picture of our eventual target that I came on here like around 6 months ago, and I gave you guys a long-term target for 2032. It's much higher, right? So you got to risk manage for not being in position in case we get to those prices and you're sleeping on the boat and you don't get back on the bus. We have the monthly 10 SMA and we have the biweekly dynamic. Both of those need to get invalidated. Now, what are the chances of us actually holding the biweekly dynamic? Sorry, losing the biweekly dynamic and then claiming the 10 SMA? Could you show them the 10 SMA monthly?
Okay, this is one of the key questions that I did have as well. So it's a good thing that
What
you're
was the question? If you have the question,
addressing
it's
this.
reasonable.
Like what happens essentially, because we're dealing with multi-time frame analysis right now, right? We're looking at the biweekly time frame. We're also looking at the monthly time frame. So it boils down to the fact that what if the biweekly loses 95K, biweekly opens tomorrow? What if we lose the biweekly dynamic support, but only for the monthly to rally enough to claim the 10 SMA?
So
Now
essentially, it's
this
going to
closes in 1 week. So we have 7 days for the rally to take us. This looks grim, but let's look at the possibility that we do see the volatility kick to the upside as well, and we manage to reclaim the 10 SMA. At which point, how would you be looking at Bitcoin? Like, how would you be looking at the cycle? More importantly,
so I think the 10 SMA is sitting at around 101 or something like that, 101.5. What is it at?
it's sitting at, I believe, $100,000. I have it right here, 100,714. I can just go ahead and.
Okay, so let's just say 101. So let's say the biweekly dynamic is not defended at 95K.
Okay.
I'll let you
I'm
finish.
sorry, I'm just gonna put this up. Yeah, just let me. That way they have the numbers as well, so everyone knows exactly what it is that we're looking at. There's no confusion. Okay, there we go.
So this is the good flow we could walk through, right? Let's say price rallies into this bi-weekly closes at 94,000 underneath the bi-weekly dynamic. Okay, and you're thinking, shit, we just barely lost it. I'm going to hold my entire position. I think this is enough. No, you can't do that. Okay, we lost the bi-weekly dynamic. You got to follow your rules. Okay, you got to exit at least a bit, depending on how allocated you are. Okay, now this is where it's very important. Very important to understand. If you're over allocated, you cannot risk being stubborn on this because price could just keep going down for the weeks to come after that. Okay, this is your opportunity to sell very close to your invalidation level and take profits. Because remember, guys, I've said this to you guys often. What price is at, okay, what price is currently at is irrelevant as a trend trader unless it's already at a predetermined take profit level, in which case you're taking profits there. because every other price point, Kisha, could you stop shaking the screen? I'm getting nauseous. Thank you. Every other price point is simply temporary, right? All that really matters is your invalidation trend level. So what has happened over the past like 5 to 6 months, your invalidation level has actually come up all the way up to 95,000. That is actually a gift. That is actually a gift, because imagine if your invalidation was sitting all the way down at 76,000, which was the case back in April. Okay. Now price has come up all the way up to around 95,000, giving you guys a cleaner exit, a closer exit. That is always going to be where you're going to be exiting most of your position. Remember, 120K, by the way, guys, was our cyclical target all the way down at 17K. So we hit that cyclical target. Now, that doesn't mean I'm expecting all of you guys to have taken profits. No, right? Because we're trend traders. At the end of the day, I always tell you guys that I recommend holding at least 10% of your position no matter what, even if you do hit your targets, because you don't know what price could do. Now, let's say you're holding 10%, 25%, 50% of your position. Hell, you decided to hold 80% of your position. You got to ask yourself, how much of that is your long-term target? Because Sean has given me a long-term target of $750,000. Now, this is past 2030. Okay, provided we get through this quantum narrative, which, by the way, again, I called all the way back in freaking May to June. I started building our quantum positions. Right, I knew this was going to happen, and I thought it would take a tad bit longer, but I'm glad it's happening now. That's a different topic. But provided this quantum narrative, we can get through it. Well, it's happening now. That's good. It's good news there. Our targets of around 750,000 are still intact. Now, you got to keep that in mind. Okay, that's $750,000 target, right? And ask yourself, am I underallocated for my long-term target? Am I overallocated? Because you need to have a position that you do not touch at all for that long-term target. If you start letting this bear you up to the point where you sell your long-term target and you get bear trapped out of that, and prices runs away from you, you are going to look back at yourself and be like, fucking hell, Sean told me that this was going to happen. I don't say Sean told, we don't want to get into the whole I told you so thing. I knew, I was informed, I was urged to have a long-term no-touch allocation unless my long-term invalidations are hit.
Yeah.
And our long-term invalidations for 2035, etc., are not hit at all. We're nowhere close to that. So there's no reason to be giving away that. So if, by the way, this is where some of you are going to raise an eyebrow. If you're allocated compared to that, okay, if that long-term target right now, that long-term portfolio percent is underallocated. Now, I don't know what that percent is for you in terms of your personal financial portfolio, etc., or dollar value or nominal value, right? Whatever that is for you, ask yourself, what is that number? If price is going to get to 750,000, what's the minimum I want to have in my hands? What's the minimum? Okay, and don't be greedy, be realistic based on your situation. Okay, what's the minimum where I'm not going to feel like complete ass about myself? If you're underallocated over there, this is actually an opportunity, not a bad thing at all. If you're underallocated, if you're overallocated, then of course this is not an opportunity. You need to be de-risking because you're overallocated and we are losing trend. So what I'm trying to say over here is, if you're not traveling from Ottawa to Toronto and instead you're going from Ottawa to Buffalo, or way up north, or way down south, like 15-hour, 20-hour drive, okay? That's what you're thinking about at the moment. This shouldn't concern you. But if you're only going on a 5-hour drive to Toronto, right, then this should most definitely be something you need to deal with. You can't let the bus driver go out of that far out of course. And right now he's going out of course, right? If you're looking at it based on a longer super term perspective, let me make you guys feel a lot better about things. Kusha, could you just clear the chart and turn on the monthly dynamic? Now, this is not an excuse for any of you assholes to hold on to your position if you're over allocated. Okay? Do not. You follow your rules no matter what. But we are sitting on the monthly dynamic. Almost every single time, the first test of the monthly dynamic is a bounce.
Can I go over that?
Yeah, you can go over that for them.
Okay, let's put that to the test, because he brought this up to my attention today, and I sort of did a cursory back test on this, and he's right. Every single time, let's just say the bull market has been underway. Okay, we have it spanning back to the bull market of 2017. I got this thing on my screen. Okay, bull market of 2017. The first test came in right here. This was Feb. Now, even if it's in there for a lower high on the chart, these bounces have still been pretty significant. Like this one bounced to get 89% off of the monthly dynamic support on the first test. 89%. The second one was this one right here, right? This was 2021. Check this out. Okay, that was the first test of the monthly dynamic support, and this bounced 116%. So once the bull run has been underway, that first test of the monthly dynamic is actually pretty important. And I feel like that's where the bears could get spooked out. That's when they started getting sweaty, if we do get those bounces.
And you can see, Kushal, it's only when we close underneath that monthly dynamic where the entire bear run went in like earnest, right?
Yes.
Now, again, this is not something you guys should be. Now, do not change your invalidation to the monthly dynamic, and this is very important to understand, guys. When you're playing with monthly time frames, and this actually allows us to circle back to Krisha's core question: how do you deal with price bouncing off the monthly, bouncing, rejecting the bi-weekly dynamic, but then bouncing and closing above the monthly 10 SMA? You still stick with the plan of reducing position, because as soon as you start expanding the time frame of your invalidation, you need to be reducing position size by default. Okay, let's say we are not in position at all. Okay, let's take a step back over here, and we're looking to enter a brand new trade on a completely different asset, TradFi, etc. And you can choose, okay, I'm going to be trading Tesla, but I think Tesla is to be played on the monthly time frame, not the bi-weekly. Okay, if you decide to trade Tesla on the monthly time frame, by default, if you're following proper risk management principles, etc., your position size is a lot lower as a trade compared to if you're trading the bi-weekly. Okay, because your risk now is extending based on the fact that you got to wait for the monthly closes to play out, and a lot of volatility can play out in the entire month. So to account for that volatility, your position size needs to drop, right? Just because you switch from bi-weekly to monthly. Similarly, as soon as the bi-weekly element of Bitcoin is invalidated, but the monthly holds, by default, you're like, okay, cool, the bi-weekly trend is now done. I'm going to hold on to my monthly portion of my position because the monthly held. Does that make sense? It's as simple as that. Clip this part out and use this for the rest of your trading career. Because if you're ever playing the combination of both like we were, this is how you play it. Okay. It's not all or nothing. Sometimes the one trend may hold and the other may not. May happen this time. We don't know. 10 days is a lot of time. If Bitcoin goes up to 90,000 by the end of today, we still have an entire week to close over 100,000, right? Could be a curveball.
Good stuff, Sean. Thank you. Guys, if you have any questions, now's the time. These are very important concepts of allocation and how you go about thinking about your long-term allocations as well. A lot of people, they tend to sort of fixate on those high targets, the big targets, whether it's 750K that Sean has forecasted for 2032, you said, Sean? Whether it's even $23 XRP. These are macro cyclical targets, okay? Which means the higher your target, your holding time goes up, right? So it's very important to understand your allocation. So this is not a concept that you have pat down in terms of your portfolios. What is your long-term allocation versus what is your short-term allocation? Now's the time to be thinking about those things. It's going to help you make better decisions on when it comes to your exits, just how much are you looking to exit? You go in like a well-oiled machine. That way you're executing well. Part of being a very good trader is even understanding how to execute when it is time to execute. But to execute well, you need a plan, right? So these sort of concepts of your allocations, very, very important. Understand what is your long-term allocation. So ask yourself those questions. If price gets up to $750,000, which in my opinion is still really, really conservative for Bitcoin for 2032, I think we can all agree with that, right? If price gets up to these levels, just how much would you want in hand? The issue is that, Sean, at least this is my opinion. I feel like the the issue is that there's always like this trust factor, or I should say the distrust factor of the long term. People are so skeptical of the long term. They're not like, it's difficult for them to see the targets unfold. It's almost like, the entire,
Well,
I think we were talking.
that gives them an advantage too, right?
Yeah.
It really depends on, because your conviction in an asset is risk.
Yeah.
Your conviction in an asset is going to get you to hold on longer than most other people, and then itself is, you are ascribing to opportunity cost there alone, because you're like, I'm going to be holding on to a certain position even if we do lose certain levels. I'm going to be holding on to a certain allocation size even though we lose certain levels, because I have a long-term view and I don't want to risk not having any exposure on that long-term view, right? Because this could be a complete bet. Guys, if you ever come across any channel out here saying we are definitely in a bear market and you should be selling all of your allocation, I urge you guys to unfollow that YouTuber, that Twitter person, etc., because it's not good. No one can be certain on anything.
Yeah.
Anything. Certainty is the enemy in these markets. Certainty is the enemy. Okay. Now, if you have a long-term view on something and you are going to be playing it in a way that I am certain that we are not going to be flipping around here bullish, and we are definitely going to be going down. So I'm going to be selling all my allocation, and I'm going to be buying back at 58K, 68K, 48K, whatever numbers you guys pick. If you play that certainty, it is not responsible. It is not responsible at all, especially if you have high conviction on the long-term view. Now, that in itself, right, is opportunity cost, because even that 10% probability of the market turning around here, 10%, like you're basically saying there's a 90% chance there's a bear market and we're definitely going down, and there's a 10% probability that we could reverse over here. And because of that 10% is enough for me to hold on to a certain size. And by the way, it should be enough for you, because the asymmetry to the upside is massive. Understand that from here, from around $80,000 to 750 is almost a 10x. Okay.
Mhm.
And from 85,000 to go as low as 40K is only a 50% drop. So you're going to be giving up a 900 to 1,000% move, right? Completely. Because you're going to be, you're essentially giving away your entire size, right, to capture a 50% move. That is just not good. It's not a good risk reward. It's not good investing. It's not good trading either through a long-term perspective. Think about what you're giving up. I'm not saying that you should be holding on to everything you are, by the way, because clearly throughout this entire stream I've been saying you need to follow the rules, you need to sell, you need to follow, you need to sell. I'm saying that if you have a long-term view, you have to respect that long-term view, right? But now, for those of you who don't have that long-term view, you guys have no conviction in Bitcoin, that ends up being opportunity, because you get to sell your entire size. Because like, I don't fucking care about Bitcoin. I don't know what this even means. It literally is magic money to me. I've never even held a wallet. I only trade out of the exchange. I don't care. Okay, to me, this is a momentum trade. I'm going to be selling everything. And then you have that 10% extra allocation, 15% extra allocation that everyone else was forced to hold because they have a long-term view. You have that at the bottom. Okay. But if you have a long-term view, you're being greedy, by saying I'm selling everything, even though I think Bitcoin's going to go to 750K, right? So there's a trade-off in everything. Now, I don't have a long-term view on XRP. Okay, I'm totally with you guys on being bullish on XRP while it's going up, but I don't know anything about XRP. Yeah, I'm giving you guys the not an example of myself, where I have an opinion on Bitcoin, but I don't have an opinion on XRP because I don't know enough about it to have an opinion. I'm not going to fool myself into just being blind about it. And if you guys are in that position on any of your altcoins, do not drum up false hope and false narratives and shit that your Telegram group leaders telling you about how it's going to be the next new AI coin, blah blah blah. Don't, if you've not done the hard work, if you've not put in at least 100 hours, okay, I recommend at least 1,000. If you've not put in at least 100 hours, be honest with yourselves. Please do not fall for bullshit altcoin narratives when you've not put in any work. If you put in the work, then by all means, right? Now, XRP, I haven't put in any work, so I can't. If it loses the bi-weekly dynamic, I'm selling every single coin because I don't know anything about it. Okay, maybe in time I learn about it, but right now I
get
don't.
into XRP. I think it's a good segue.
Apologies if I've just been ranting on too much. I'll try to,
because I know that a lot of people in here are looking at XRP. We can always get back to, there are some more questions that I have in terms of Bitcoin's targets to the downside, but we'll get to that after the segment on XRP. I want to first go over, because as it is with Bitcoin, we're looking at the biweekly time frame for XRP as well. Now, my entire trade hypothesis, my try and trade hypothesis for XRP was hinged on the weekly dynamic support, okay, which got lost 5 weeks ago, which is where I sold. I came up with a video saying I sold. Sean, I recently went over the comments of that video. You guys should go ahead and check out those comments. Man, the amount of hate I got. But there were some people that were really like encouraging. They were like, hey, you know what? Good on you for following your systems. So if those of you are in here who sort of cheered me on there, thank you. That means a lot, because it's very difficult, believe it or not, especially when like the entire the mood of the market is super bullish, to come out and say that, you know what, now's the time to sort of, you know, be a bit more vigilant, draw back a tad bit, system's broken. It takes a lot. Okay, it's not easy on me too, but that's the thing, right? When you get into trades, you got your trade plan, but who builds your trade plan for you? It's the manager inside you that builds your trade plan for you, right? So you write those things down. That way, when the system breaks, all you got to do is execute on what the manager set for you, right? So try and separate those two personalities. It becomes very, very easy then to execute on your trades. You're not letting your biases or any sort of emotion get in the way of your execution, which is why I'm always a huge proponent of just writing down your trade plan. Anyways, mine was hinged on the weekly dynamic, and you can see how well it's played out, right? So far, XRP is still underneath the weekly. However, Sean, you mentioned something, and this was a very, very important observation that Sean made in terms of XRP, which was on the bi-weekly, there have been 0 violations. 0. Not one. Not one. It's been a very, very important level. In fact, all of XRP's most important bounces this cycle has actually taken off from the biweekly dynamic support. I don't know if you noticed this, Sean, but check this out. This was Feb 2025. We had this one right here, March 2025. And this one on March 2025 actually wicked significantly below, if you notice, right? Then we had one right here in June 2025. And these were some pretty neat bounces. This one was what? 73%. This one on the wick alone, geez Louise, 31%. This one right here to the top, 93%. So once again, biweekly dynamic, here we are. And that's one thing, you know, and I was telling you guys this on one of the dailies, Sean, and even Sean hasn't been mentioning this. XRP has been holding up very well compared to most altcoins. I think we can all agree on that. But currently, biweekly dynamic support coming in at $2.19. Okay, so for those of you on the number on that, 219 is that support level for XRP on the biweekly. Now, of course, just like Bitcoin, we get a brand new print on this tomorrow. So ideally, you'd like to see XRP rally and close over to 218. My bad, not, is it 218? 218 on the bottom of the biweekly dynamic support. Sean,
XRP,
so
XRP against Bitcoin, by the way, is green for the week. It's been green for multiple weeks now. It's kind of why haven't changed my thesis on altcoins have been surprising me. You guys know I've been Bitcoin dominance bull throughout the cycle. I think being bearish on Bitcoin dominance at the moment is the way to go, as in like being bearish on altcoins performing against Bitcoin. I'm not saying that they're going to be definitely doing great on USD terms, but you just look at Bitcoin dominance. You look at XRP BTC again, past 2-3 weeks it's just been green, but Bitcoin dominance too. Like as a trend trader, weekly dynamic, you can just take a look at how it's rejecting the weekly dynamic, even the bi-weekly dynamic for that matter. This wants to come down, and until it actually reclaims around 61.5% multiple candle closes, I think alts are looking to outperform Bitcoin. They're just like waiting. They're just waiting for permission. As soon as Bitcoin is done, I think that the strong alts are going to do really well.
and there are some that are looking
And you guys know I don't just give hope like that. I'm just calling what I see. I'm calling it as I see it.
Yeah, Core also mentions like XRP BTC is holding the biweekly dynamic. So XRP against Bitcoin doing extremely well. But would you say, so I think, Sean, would you say that the plan remains the same? So basically what you explained for Bitcoin and how it would break the biweekly dynamic and how you would go about taking profits or looking at the entire trade based on your allocations and your risk parameters, would you say it's the same sort of story for XRP as well? And would you recommend that they manage it the same way?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, it doesn't change. You don't your thesis is your thesis. You follow it.
So once again, guys, tomorrow XRP closes underneath the biweekly dynamic. That trend trade for this cycle probability, if you're playing the probabilities, probability would suggest that it's come to an end.
Yeah.
Right? If it reclaims the biweekly dynamic, what do you do in that instance? Well, you, at least for me, I keep it as simple as it was when I got back in. You get back in, right? If you need that allocation. Any questions on XRP? Let's actually go ahead on over to the 1 hour time frame. Look at this. Look at the 1 hour, Sean. Oh man, these 1 hours are looking so interesting right now. It's gonna be so, I feel like, I don't know why, but I have this feeling it's gonna be so close. I feel like they're all
around what was it, 6 weeks, 8 weeks ago? I said something almost blasphemous to Krisha, and Krisha was like, she laughed at me. She laughed at me. I'm going to bring it up right now, and you can tell them the story, or you can tell them I want you to tell them your exact reaction. I think it was maybe 2 months ago. I said, I think Bitcoin has been in an upwards bear market. I think this entire market has been in a bear market for like 1 year. And she's like, that makes no sense, right? You telling me that? I was like, no, think about it. I'm like, you think about it for like around 1 hour and I'm going to come back to you. Right? And now it's like actually beginning to make sense. And again, like the thing is, guys, you're going to have these thoughts and these ideas, right? But you just follow your rules, because sometimes your intuition, go back to Bitcoin chart, Krisha. Right? Sometimes your intuition is going to really lead you astray. You can't follow your intuition. This great book by Daniel. I'm trying to look at my library, but don't have. I think I have the books in my bedroom, called Noise, and he talks about how they did an experiment where they tested algorithms, a rule-based system, and professionals to give their judgment and prediction as to what is going to happen, and the professionals came third on that in that competition, right? As good as you are, your discretion, your feelings, your human emotions are going to lead you astray. That's why having a rule-based system or an algorithm that you can follow is so important. Ray Dalio's book that made him, I don't say that made him famous, but like the book that he keeps referencing all the time, and all of his other books that came after is Principles, which is completely about building a system, building a rules-based system. Bridgewater became as big as it was because of a rules-based system. That being said, you're going to have these intuitions sometimes that will help you like guide your sizing, guide where you allocate your risks, etc. And one of the things that I was feeling with Bitcoin going sideways the way it was for month after month after month, while the altcoins were all crashing, was that we are essentially in a pseudo bear market that looks a lot like the sideways action we were going through during the 6K consolidation phase, where we kept bouncing and dropping, bouncing and dropping. But it was a lot more compressed this time compared to 6K, because no market is exactly the same. That was just my view. And what if this was a bear market? And when you consider everything that has been happening with altcoins, you consider what happened with Binance. These are like bear market kind of events that was playing out, right? Altcoins were definitely not in a bull market, though they were behaving like bear market coins. Now, Bitcoin dominance was also reflecting the fact that altcoins was in a bear market while Bitcoin was going sideways, right?
Yeah.
So Bitcoin was getting padded, was getting pushed up when it wanted to come down. I was like, Kushal, like the capitulation, if I'm right, is going to be to the downside, not to the upside over here. Of course, we can't play it that way because our rules are forcing us to stay long to the upside. And I have no regrets on that. I'm going to be very proud of myself in the future for following my rules more than following my gut, because my gut one day is going to lead me astray. My rules will never lead me astray. My gut may make me a lot of profits, but one day it will take all my profits away from me, and that's not going to matter, right? Like, I'd rather make my profits, like your gut will basically amplify your profits, but they will also amplify your losses to zero. Your rules may keep your profits subdued, but they'll make sure that your profits keep going up and you'll never go to zero, right? Think of it that way, right? So at the very least, though, it allowed us to not get over exuberant. And another thing was our 6-month thesis, right? There again, Kisha, I noticed something that just made me go, which was when we failed to see that 6-month rally from September play out. Like, we broke out of 120K, I think we hit 126K, and we just immediately sold off. That was the first big sign that we might be having at best a sideways 6-month cycle, but at worst the first 6-month down cycle, right? So now with that in mind, right, we still play the 6-month. We reject all these 4-year cycle theories, 3-year cycle theories, not because they're not right, but more so because they're not actionable, right? If we play this 6-month cycle, though, we can now say that Bitcoin is having a 6-month cycle, which is going to be sideways to down, and all coins are going to have their 6-month cycle that could potentially be an up cycle. And that has precedent. That can very well happen. We could have like 3 to 4 months of altcoins rally hard, right? While Bitcoin is kind of having its drift move to the upside that may just end up being a lower high. Everyone's calling it relief rally, or it could keep going, right? We don't know, right? But during that phase, the way it's looking is that altcoins want to move, and we don't want to miss out on that. Remember, I gave you guys a thesis for how the Mango dynamic on the monthly has always been a bounce. What if while Bitcoin is having its small bounce, altcoins have the explosive move? Do we want to miss that? We got to watch out for those trades.
Right, but also, yes. So this is where Sean and I are at a disconnect, right? Yes, of course. I mean, I'd say yes, watch out for the trades, but that doesn't mean hold on to the hypothesis and neglect the TA. Okay, so still follow your systems on your respective altcoins. But yeah, even total too, we're sort of in an uptrend right here. But we need to see the bounces come in. But I'll say this, I think I like your entire sort of aspect of, if it breaks the systems, it's broken. Like, you want to, at that point, you want to reconsider where we are in the cycle, right? That's the only way, because coming back to like your system breaking, guys, I don't care what anyone says. screw everything, screw everyone, screw the noise. When you're invalidated, how you end your trade is significantly more important than how you begin, because that's going to shape every other decision that you make moving forward. That's going to shape whether or not, if prices pull back, do you have enough ammo to actually buy back, right? If prices pull back, are you in that same mental, are you in the right mindset to be taking advantage of the pullback? The way you approach your next trades just changes dramatically based on how you act when your system breaks or when it goes on once again. So remember that what you do now and how you execute is going to shape every single trade moving forward after that. So make it easy for yourself, right? So when you follow a set of rules, you're able to then make better, more objective decisions when it comes to getting back in.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you can have these opinions. I can have all of these opinions, and at the end of the day, I'm going to be following the TA as my rule maker, right? Like, if the TA is not lining up, my opinions can go take a hike. Like, these markets will make you rich as long as you stay alive, and what keeps you alive is the TA, not your opinions.
Exactly. PJK says, what does the 50-week MA look like for XRP? I mean, honestly, I haven't been following the 50-week moving average. And one more thing, don't do that. Okay, now say 50 weeks. So let's just say XRP USDT, right? Let's get onto that chart. And I go ahead and pull up the 50-week and I see something on there. I'm not just going to bake that into my system randomly for the one thing that is holding. Don't do that. Okay, for stuff that you have not been following, it's not in your system, that's completely fine. You don't just go changing it up on yourself. The amount of times I've seen this happen, people introduce new things to fit their biases. That's not how you trade. Okay, that's not just a random new system that, okay, that one's not holding, so this one might hold. There's always going to be something that freaking holds. There's always going to be support somewhere. All right, so you got to draw the line in the sand for yourself here. 50-week moving average, what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn everything else off. I'm going to leave that white one on. I mean, it's broken, so what's the point? What was your point here? What are we looking at? What's the question?
I think most folk are just like, again, guys, the last thing you want to do is just find some freaking chart on YouTube or some or on Twitter or some YouTuber showing you the 50-week moving average when that person has never followed it before, you've never followed it before, and you suddenly start following because it's suddenly important to you. That's not how these things work. That's not how you use moving averages. That's how you use any indicator. And the indicator is to be used consistently over a long period of time. And it will win 7 out of maybe 10 times, or maybe 3 out of 10 times. But 2 different indicators may both be successful over a span of 10 trades, right? But they may not be successful consecutively during or simultaneously for each single trade. You are looking to win over a span of 10, 50, 100 trades. And just looking at one indicator randomly for the first time, it's dumb. Stop being dumbasses. Someone needs to fucking tell you guys to stop being stupid. You guys are being stupid with this shit, right? Jumping from one indicator to another indicator to a new strategy to a new strategy. You are literally begging the market to take all your money over the long term. That's why you guys end up in this crack cocaine kind of like mindset where you're always chasing the next new high because you're not calming yourself down and just following a freaking strategy.
Exactly. Don't find indicators that's going to fit your bias, guys. Trust me. I've done that, been there, done that, lost a lot. Don't freaking do that. And I've seen other people do that as well. They've lost big. Okay, and the worst is they've misled people into following their same set of thesis, and the way they change indicators on themselves, there's going to be something always. There's one more thing right here. Okay, yeah, so this is tool 5049. Think about it. No retail, no ETF, SEC, Bitcoin dominance, and still XRP was able to do a 10x from the lows. And Sean, this goes back to what you said. The markets, if you guys have noticed, they've all climbed the wall of worry.
Yeah.
Okay, this also goes to show one more thing that Sean says is that the fundamentals, guys, when you're looking at the amount of hate I got, by the way, on XRP when I said, hey, I sold right here as soon as it broke the weekly dynamic, the number one comment or the one prominent theme was like, what the hell are you doing? Why are you selling right now? The ETFs are coming out. Haven't you heard of the ETFs? blah 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 blah. So there was a lot of like fundamental schmuck just being tossed in the comment section. Like, the market doesn't care about the ETFs. If anything, this should give you a sign. If there is a big news drop and the market has reacted in a negative way, that is bearish. That's bearish.
Well said.
When there's
Exactly.
positive news, there's positive news on Wall Street. There's positive news on your news channels. If it's positive and price is not acting in accordance to that positive news, that's bearish. That should tell you something. You want to see price move in the right direction. Okay, that is information. When there is a deviation, a divergence, it's a divergence. Okay, it's not an indicator divergence, but it's more like a social divergence, a social and price divergence. So be very cognizant of even like the FA. So even when you guys are looking at the fundamentals, even when you're looking at the macro, the issue with macro, the issue with fundamentals is that they can be very subjective. There can be externalities that nobody is seeing, that you are not seeing. You cannot possibly account for it. All right. The truest form of information of where majority of the market participants are in consensus is always going to be on price actions, always going to be on the chart. I don't care what anyone says. It's always going to be on the chart. So the chart actually gave us the signals to begin with.
Exactly.
And there's one more thing I want to show people here on the monthly time frame, because Sean, we're at the 1 hour mark, so we're gonna have to wrap up soon. I figured I want to get your thoughts on this, and you guys can give me your thoughts as well. But monthly oscillators, tell me what you think. Now, I know my strengths, I know my weaknesses. Also important as a trader, know your strengths, know your weaknesses, play to your strengths. Now, a lot of people, if you guys remember, like just a couple of months ago, they were all calling the triple bearish divergence, right? They were looking at the peaks on Bitcoin's monthly highs, as well as they were looking at the Stokes putting in lower highs, as well as the RSI putting in lower highs. I bit my tongue there for a second, right? So everyone was looking at the monthly bearish divergence. But would you say that we're at this point where it might be flipping? Because if you look at this now,
potential though.
Potential, yes, potential. But on the monthly, still, right? And then you look at even the RSI.
This would line up with the.
Huh? What do you think?
This would line up. So this, okay, guys, if there's ever a reason for you guys to, let's say you don't have a fundamental view on Bitcoin long term in regards to the $750,000 thesis that I had. And by the way, I put out that thesis when Bitcoin was sitting around like 45 to 50,000, wasn't or maybe 60,000. So it's not something new that I said at the top. But if you don't want to have that fundamental view on Bitcoin, and you want to have a TA view on Bitcoin reversing, and if that is going to help you hold on to a bit of your position, or rather urge you or convince you to hold on to a bit of your position in case that eventuality plays out, right? This would be it, because we have monthly dynamic, monthly 21 EMA, and the potential for the bullish divergence. Now, I usually reject these potential bullish divergence ideas because it's just potential. There's nothing concrete to actually trade your thesis on, because the potential could last a very long time, and you'll just be holding, and then get invalidated on the potential, right? Because you got to first set in the high low, and then you got to take out the previous lower high, and that just doesn't. It's just not actionable. But now, when you have the support levels lining up right there with the monthly dynamic, monthly 21 EMA, you're like, okay, wait a minute, I could use this as my validation, right? I could hold on to 10% of my size on the idea that this could all reverse. And now, if you guys can picture the next 2 to 3 months playing out, where we drift up and we give the entire market a huge surprise, and one of the monthlies leading to Feb to March closes above that cluster of those monthly candles that went sideways. Now that potential bullish divergence becomes a reality. and the following month takes out those highs, you just activated your bullish divergence on the monthly time frame. You are looking, and then people are going to hate me for even suggesting this bullish thesis, but you cannot discount a 10% chance on that, okay? Or 15% chance, or 20% chance. You do your probability, but the probability exists because they're sitting on support, and the bullish divergence potential is there. If that plays out, we could be seeing a big move to the 180s, 200, 150, whatever, right? Now, this is the perfect way everyone gets to be right and everyone gets to be wrong at the same time, right? The bulls are right though of it being an extended cycle. The bears are right of us getting that bear market of a 35% dip. By the way, that thesis of all the bulls saying that, oh, this is just a 35% dip, Bitcoin has done it before, that's not relevant. That's not a good thesis. You should not. Like, I would usually say that too. I'll be like, guys, it's fine, 35%. We have broken key levels over here this time around because price has gone sideways for a prolonged time, allowing those moving averages to come up. Every other time when Bitcoin has had those 35% dips, price was going in a parabolic fashion that allowed price to come down without losing levels, right? So this time it's not the same argument. You can't just use percent drops as a blanket statement to say, oh, Bitcoin's done that. That being said, we are sitting on monthly support. I'm giving you guys both sides here. I know it's confusing, but markets are not binary ways to do it, but not binary answers. It's not the right way to do it. So yeah, just keep everything in mind and allocate probabilities and make sure you're not all in on, don't be a full bull hard, don't be a full bear hard. There's a middle ground. You could just say, hey, Bitcoin's in a neutral territory right now. I'm not bullish, I'm not bearish. I'm waiting to see what happens. And if you're not bullish, the completely want, right? But if you're not fully bearish, is it fair to sell every single bit of your Bitcoin and you have that long-term view? I don't know.
No, siree. Okay, cool beans. I think we can wrap up here.
I want to answer one question on that Ace asked. I don't want to ignore questions that were asked in the thingy. He asked about gold and Bitcoin.
Ace is in here? Where?
Yeah, he's his name's.
Oh, you changed your username. Okay.
Oh yeah, there you go. It's because YouTube forced us all to change our usernames. Just did that. But my opinion is it was freaking ugly since the beginning of the month, and it's closing ugly. This is not a good look at all, and this should also. I've spoken about the gold Bitcoin chart before. For example, this is what I said. I think X-Men asked me a question on this, and
should I change the gold Bitcoin chart? 1 second.
Yeah, you should, because I'm looking at it on the monthly dynamic, for sure.
Yeah, just give me a second. Let me just pull it all up. Oof.
Yeah, so you can remove the 10 SMA for now, Kushar. Just keep it simple for them.
I need to get that off my template anyways.
Yeah,
I'll do it.
Okay, cool. So we so X-Men asked me this question on, let's say we lose the monthly dynamic on gold versus Bitcoin. Kushar, could you zoom into this that spot there, the head and shoulders? Yeah, let's say we lose that level, but we hold the mango dynamic on the bi-weekly against the Bitcoin USD chart, right? And my answer was like, you gotta use that as a way to get mentally ready to be at least short to midterm bearish, right? And get ready for any rallies as an opportunity to take profits, right? Yeah. So for example, let's say Bitcoin held 110, but gold, the Bitcoin against gold did this. Let's say that played out, and that could have played out if gold went crazy. I would have personally been looking to sell into any rally Bitcoin would have after that. Now, that's not how things played out. Bitcoin dumped hard, and that's how we got this, right? It still plays into the same mindset, though. It happened together, so it makes your decision easier to say, oh, this is not good. Okay, this is not good. Every time this has played out, Bitcoin has gone into a prolonged bear market until we have claimed it back. So now we can use this as edge to, one, get back into position if Bitcoin ever claims it. Okay, it may happen in 1 month. It could happen in 12 months. It could happen in 6 months. We watch this. Okay, And two, we use this as conviction to give you that push in case you're too bullheaded to get out of position or reduce size. This is what you use. Be like, holy shit, this has worked. So
Just to show you guys, this is Bitcoin against gold. Every single break of the dynamic on the monthly time frame has led to bear market territory. If it's either bear market territory that Bitcoin gets propelled into, or it gets propelled into a very volatile downward spiral. As it did right here, this was the breakdown of 6K down to 3K when Bitcoin against gold lost that monthly dynamic support. This was that flush down, right? This was the other bear market of 2014. This was 2018. Once again, this was the bear market getting into the COVID dump, 2020. This was the previous bull market of bear market. Apologies if I'm saying bull market, my bad. The previous bear market of 2022. We broke that, and that was a spiral down once again. And one thing I want you guys to notice when it comes to event-based price action, let's face it, okay, you zoom out of any chart, I don't care what chart, you could be looking at some TradFi chart, you could be looking at Bitcoin, you could be looking at gold, you could be looking at freaking S&P, NASDAQ, I don't know, you name it. When you look back into the charts, you're not thinking of, hey, what event took place there? What risk event happened there? What happened there? No, you don't remember. Nobody cares, okay? If I asked you what happened, when it happened, where it happened, you would not be able to point that stuff out to me. All you're looking at is price action and drawdowns, right? So understand that even during this phase of the cycle, if you are letting certain events be like, oh no, that was a risk event, so that was an outlier, so I'm not going to take that seriously, so we're just not going to even consider that data point. No. Markets don't care. That's not how price action works. It's giving you a signal. It's giving you a sign. Something's off. Okay, when you look back and you look at all of those events, they played out in sync with price action, all the 50% drawdowns. There might have been a freaking event that happened right here, right? During this 50% drawdown that Bitcoin had. Now, this is the Bitcoin gold chart, but even on the actual Bitcoin chart, it was a crazy 60% drawdown, actually. We don't know what happened there. But now in hindsight, as technicians, we look back at that data point and be like, that was the first sign that we're getting into bear market territory, because that was a 50% drawdown, right? I'm not thinking of, hey, what event took place there? No. Okay, so just understand FA and events, they all have their place. Ultimately, price action takes precedent. Learn to separate the event from the price. It's clean. It's going to give you a clear signal at that point.
Okay.
Cool.
One final question, in case I wasn't entirely clear on it, because Isaac asked me, Sean, what are you doing with your positions? Are you going to be exiting entirely? Are you going to be exiting half? Are you going to be exiting 10%? Honestly, what I do, guys, should not influence you at all. At all. Okay. Because like I said at the beginning of the stream, my situation is completely different from yours in regards to my life situation, etc., etc. And I'll give you guys the best way to explain that is to tell you guys how aggressive I had to be in protecting myself 2 cycles ago. So basically prior to COVID, when we had the 2019 break off the, Kusha, could you actually just show them?
Was it this?
The monthly. I'm trying to get to your
screen.
Do
you want to share your chart? Do you think it'd be easier?
Yeah, okay, I could really quickly do that. Might as well, because I'll show them a few charts on my end too. Wait, give me a second. How do I do this? I got to like put it on stage or something, right?
Yes.
Okay. Here, I zoomed in. Now I'll present. Share screen. Share screen. Okay, there we go. Share. Okay, do you guys see it?
Alrighty, I'm gonna remind at stage. Okay, you're on. You're alive.
Okay, so just to answer, to give you guys two different situations. Like this time, this phase of my trading career, my investing career, etc., I could not risk Bitcoin doing this, right? I could risk a bit of it doing this, but not a huge chunk. So over here, when we rallied, right, when we got the rally, so this played out. Okay, when we got the rally, I had to hedge because I wasn't thinking about my, and you guys know, those of you who are in Mango, you guys know how bullish I was on Bitcoin, right? But I still had to protect, okay, my family's future, my future with Krisha, making sure that at the end of the day, I got to put freaking food on the plate, and roof on top of her head, right? That's my responsibility. Your responsibility is ultimately, guys, is to your kids, to your wife, to your husband, to your parents, if you're taking care of them, etc., right? So I had to be a lot more prudent because of my life situation. Now I'm not in the same situation. Now I can be a lot more risky. I can allow Bitcoin to come down far more, and I'm still very, 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 very okay. Our house is completely paid for. A brand new home, by the way, that is completely paid for. Yeah, the housing society fees, etc., etc., have all gone up, but I've accounted for that too. Like I've preempted everything, right? I got lots of fixed income securities that are paying for a lot of my passive income flows, etc. Passive income flows that are paying for my expenses in that regard. So my entire living situation in terms of my roof on top of my head is completely safeguarded, right? So my situation is completely different. So if I tell you guys that, oh, I'm going to be holding on to all of my Bitcoin, or 90% of my Bitcoin, or 80% of my Bitcoin, is that relevant to you guys? No, it's not, because you might be in the situation that I was in 5 years ago. And my situation was completely different back then, right? I was like, oh, I don't know what's going to happen. What if Bitcoin was way lower back then, 6,000, and what if it went, like it already hit 3,000 just like a few weeks prior? What if it did this, right? Like Bitcoin going from 6,000 to $1,000 is a big difference compared to Bitcoin going from where we at right now, 87,000 to $50,000. That's still a lot. It's a different world. Yeah, it's a different world, different situation. So the point though that I'm trying to help you all think about, or get out, the point I'm trying to get into your minds, and the mindset I want you guys to think about, is a lot can change from an ugly situation like this, right, to a great situation like this, provided you guys make sure you don't, one, if you have to protect yourself, have a plan to get back in, because every time you're selling an allocation that you believe in, you got to make a second decision of when to get back in. Okay, so the decision to sell and the decision to get back in. If you get the first one right, you still got to get the second one right as well. Now, you are giving yourself too much credit if you are going to say, I'm definitely going to get both right, right? That's really, 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 really difficult. So you got to account for human error and say, you know what, I may get it wrong, and I got to account for that and keep a tad bit in case I am wrong and I mess up, something happens, I'm not able to get back in, and I miss out on this entire run to 86,000. You guys think that people did not make that mistake? I personally know people who got out over here and never got back in, and you just do not hear from them ever again, right? Similarly, what if there's a 5% chance Sean is right on 750, right? It could play out like this, it could play out like this. Because I have it for 2032. I could be wrong, and we'll find out somewhere between now and then when I'm going to be wrong. We'll have the signs. But what if? Okay, what if? You just need a bit. Just need a bit, right? That's all I'm saying. At the end of the day, this is not financial advice. I don't know your situation. I don't know how over allocated you guys are. I don't know what your other obligations are. And you got to really, really, really sit down and think about your own situation.
Brilliant. I think that was a very important conversation.
Yeah.
Cool beans.
Okay.
All right. I think we can wrap up now. An hour and 24 minutes? What the
Wow.
schmizzles? Okay, but
But
for those who want to
one last
continue the
thing, go on
conversation.
to app.mangoresearch.co and look at the amount of coins that are long against Bitcoin. There are
Oh,
far more than
yes.
you'd expect, considering that Bitcoin has been dumping. And remember, we are running a Black Friday sale, so you guys get free access to the dashboard with any of the purchases: Mango Seed, Mango Dynamic, Mango Lifeline. Always recommend the Mango Seed program because you cannot lose. It's like a lifelong thing to have that education apply to everything, and we've priced it to be more affordable than the other products purposely, because education at the end of the day is the most important thing in Mango.
Yeah. So you can, all the links in the description below. And also, just a quick heads up before we wrap, the BitUnix bonuses are back. So for those of you looking to put on trades, whether you're looking to practice your execution, there's a system that you found, you want to put it to the test, but hey, you're just like nervous. You're like, what if this time it goes wrong? And everyone's scared of losing money. Well, this is free money at the corner of the room. All you got to do is deposit. So it's a deposit bonus. You deposit, put on your first trade. No, the size does not matter. You could be putting on a $10 trade, a $20 trade. Doesn't matter. Okay, so you deposit, put on your first trade, and you get the bonus. It's as simple as that. You're literally getting 20% back free to trade with. Okay, so for $500, they're giving you 100 USDT free bonus. $1,000, you're getting 200 USDT back to trade with. $2,000, you're getting 400 USDT back to trade with, so on and so forth. So go ahead, make sure to take advantage of this, especially if you guys are actively trading this current volatility in the market. Once again, this too will be linked in the description below. Cool beans. Now, we'll see you guys in the Discord chat, of course. We hope that you guys enjoyed this live stream. And, well, if you found all of this fruitful and beneficial, we'd also really appreciate it if you would subscribe to the channel. Sean, any final words?
Nope, I think I got most of my words out.
Cool. Cool beans. With this, trade safely, trade stress-free, trade the mango way, trade the easy way. Ciao, you guys.
Ciao.